Hello everyone. I am just so excited that we're going to be starting public masses again this coming week. Starting with Monday, Memorial Day, and then our first Sunday will be the first week, will be the weekend of May 30th and 31st. That's the Feast of Pentecost. Now I just want to ask you, because this is all new, if you don't normally come to Mass on Memorial Day, don't start this year, because we can only have a limited amount of crowd and we don't want to have a disaster the first day that we open up. So and I'll talk about capacity and everything else in a little bit. The first point I want to make, if you have an underlying medical condition that puts you at risk if you were to get COVID, that would put your life at risk, you will continue for these first few weeks anyway. You're dispensed from the obligation of attending Mass. Now, we'll let you know when that changes, but I just really want to ask you, if you have a serious underlying condition that would put your health at risk, please do not come to church these first several weeks until things change a little in our country. I know a lot of you are really anxious to get back, but we want to keep you safe. We want everyone to be safe. Please know that we're trying to do everything humanly possible to keep you safe. But if you're at serious risk, I really want to encourage you not to come to Mass, to public Mass, until things change. Point 2. I want to point out we live in a divided country. I'm not sad, but that's the reality. And different people have very different ideas about a lot of things, including COVID-19. And so some people are very concerned about their health and their safety, and the health of their safety of their loved ones. And they're very cautious to not do anything that would endanger themselves or their loved ones. Some people think that this has been overplayed. Some people think the actions that we've taken are really, really inadvisable, and a lot of them have very strong feelings about that. And so some of the cautions put forward by the government health officials, they see as a real infringement on freedom. Now the good news is, you can be a good Catholic and have either idea. We can't let these disagreements keep us from being a loving community who are concerned about the needs of others, both their physical needs and their emotional needs. You know, St. Paul addresses something similar to this in the Bible in Romans 14, and he tells people to be respectful of others who have a different viewpoint, to be willing to make sacrifices for the people who have a different viewpoint than you. You know, so again, people have strong feelings on both sides, but it's really important that you realize that you might be wrong, that your viewpoint might not be correct, and you need to be sensitive to the viewpoints of others. Again, we want to be a community of love, a community of faith. So the first issue to be addressed is the wearing of face masks. I wore this mask an hour before Mass today when it was in chapel. I try to always wear the mask when I'm in chapel. The diocesan guidelines strongly encourage people to wear masks in attending Mass. They don't make it mandatory, but they strongly encourage people to wear masks. Now, I think it's really important for you to remember that masks are primarily to protect other people. They're not primarily to protect you, they're to protect other people. So, how does it work? I understand the mask will give you some protection if you wear it, but most of it's to protect others. How does that work? Well, say if you have allergies, like I do. Well, this time of year, even though I take a generic Flonase to treat allergies, I sometimes sneeze or cough. What if at the same time I've been exposed to COVID, but what if I don't have any symptoms? And because of my allergies, I sneeze. Well, according to medical experts, droplets can fly quite a ways if we do that. Now, if I'm not wearing a mask, those droplets could end up on the pews, or attached to other people's hands, or the back of their neck. And if they wipe the back of their neck and then they wipe their eyes, they could pick up, if you happen to have been exposed to COVID, they could get it. And where you might not have any reaction, they might be at real risk. They might have a severe reaction. So maybe those droplets fall on the top of the pew. And people, as they're going up for communion, they steady themselves by holding the top of the pew. And again, they're exposed to COVID. They could be exposed to the virus. And where, again, I might not have any reaction, someone else might have a severe reaction. We are going to ask you, before you come to Mass, to take your temperature. If you have a temperature over 100.4, please, please, please do not come to Mass. That would not be an act of love. Please, please, please take your temperature, and if you have a temperature over 100.4, do not come to church. So, again, if I'm wearing a mask, those droplets, at least most of them, don't go flying. I can tell this whole thing's in because my face gets really warm when I wear it. okay? So those droplets won't go flying, at least not as far and not as many. So I really, really, really want to encourage you to wear a mask if that is all possible for you. Now there's some people who can't wear a mask. It would be unhealthy and counterproductive, for instance, for little kids to wear a mask. Some people have difficulty breathing and a mask would pose a risk to them. You know, so we need to be sensitive to the needs of others. Now obviously it's up to your discretion. If you don't wear a mask though, it's certainly imperative if you were to cough or sneeze, that you would cough or sneeze into your elbow so that those droplets do not go flying. That again is really, really imperative that you do that. You know, that's an imperative of the law of love that Jesus gives us. We need to be concerned about the other people there. We need to, when we come to Mass, we want to be thinking not only how can I keep myself safe, but how can I keep others safe. Okay. Now assume that people are good-willed. Assume that people around you are good-willed. So please don't be judgmental of each other. If you come to church and see someone not wearing a mask, don't judge them as being indifferent to the health and safety of others. They might have I presume they'll have a good reason if they're not. On the other hand, if you see others wearing masks, don't judge them as being naive or believing all this stuff that you might think is not true. So we have to love each other, folks. And I'd ask you to read Romans 14 and prayerfully read where St. Paul talks about when people have different opinions, but they need to be sensitive to the feelings of others. They need to be sensitive to the needs of others. Okay. Whatever your attitude toward Mass and COVID, the law of love is not an option. So I want to ask all of you to read Romans 14. Okay. Point number 3. We want to do everything to keep you safe. We've ordered a system to purify the air in the church that should kill any viruses and eliminate any allergens as well. But that's not going to be installed for several weeks. It's kind of expensive, but we want to do that to protect people. But it's not going to be in church these first few weeks. So if you're at higher risk, you might want to wait until that is installed before you start coming to church. And we'll let you know when that is. We'll be putting that in the bulletin, and we'll do an email blast to let people know when that new system is installed. Point number 4. If you don't feel comfortable coming into the building because you have an underlying risk, you can attend Mass in your car. We're going to continue to stream all of our Masses. In fact, we'll live stream all of them. Now, only one of them will end up being online, but we're going to live stream all the Masses. So you can attend Mass in the parking lot. So say you don't feel comfortable coming in the building. You can go to Mass in your car. Just bring your iPhone or other device where you can see that if you have one of those devices. Now, I just want to let you know, we don't have enough broadband to offer Wi-Fi in the parking lot. So if you do bring an iPhone or an iPad where you have satellite connection or connection some other way, you have to provide your own data. Now, if you don't understand what I'm talking about, ask your grandkids. Okay. We won't have Wi-Fi in the parking lot. You'll have to use your own data in order to watch the Mass in the parking lot. We also, if you want it for communion, if it happens to be raining, make sure you bring an umbrella. Because if it's pouring rain, the Eucharistic minister is going to be under the canopy. You're going to have to walk up there to receive communion. So if it's really bad weather, if it's raining hard, bring an umbrella. If it's really bad, you might want to just end up not going to communion. But that's up to you. We're going to walk through how this is going to happen in a few minutes. Point number 5. You are strongly, strongly, strongly encouraged to receive Holy Communion in the hand rather than on the tongue. Now the reasons for that should be obvious. When we have communion on the tongue, there is always a danger that the priest or the Eucharistic minister would inadvertently touch your tongue. That, of course, could be dangerous for them, and it could be dangerous for other people who come up for communion afterwards. But also, as you're breathing, you're going to breathe on their hand, and COVID can be passed just in the moisture of your breath. So even if they don't touch your tongue, you're obviously going to be breathing as you come up. The moisture that you exhale, and all of us exhale moisture as we're breathing, it can get on their hands, and it could pass the COVID virus. If then they inadvertently touch the tongue or the hand of the next person, the virus could be passed. If the priest or Eucharistic minister afterwards wipes their eyes before they purify their hands or wipes their face, they could get the virus. So again, we are asking you to receive communion in the hand, even if you would prefer, even if you normally receive communion on the tongue. This is only for a short period of time. So we would ask you to please, please, please consider receiving communion on the hand. Now, unfortunately, I can't require that. But I will tell you, if you insist on communion on the tongue, I'm going to ask you to wait until the very end. So when you're getting out of your pew, you'll get out with everybody else, but instead of going up to receive communion, you're going to go back to the gathering space and wait there until everybody else is received communion. When the line is going down, then you can come up in that last group to receive communion on the tongue. I will, sanitize my hand between each person who receives communion on the tongue. I am going to ask you, if you're receiving communion on the tongue, that you would come to me. Don't go to Father Bednar, don't go to one of the Eucharistic ministers. I don't want to put their lives at risk. I will do communions on the tongue. So you'll need to get in my line and come to me if you're receiving communion on the tongue. Again, I will, after every person, sanitize my hand to the best of my ability so that there's no danger of it being passed to another person. But again, I'll have the ciborium in one hand and I'll be purifying, like this, and there could be risks of not killing all the virus, and it could be a risk to the next person. So I very much would prefer that you receive communion on the hand. Okay. In line with that, many people these days are carrying Purell or some other hand sanitizer in their pockets. I think it would be advisable as you're coming forward for communion if you would put a little on your hands and rub it in, so if you do have any virus on your hand, if there would be any incidental contact with the Eucharistic minister, the priest, as they're giving you communion, if they were to touch your hand or brush against your hand, that any germs that were in your hand would be gone. So I would ask you to do that. A couple of other important things before we get into the details. We're only going to have one server per Mass. I'll be making a YouTube video to retrain the servers in their new reality. Servers will not be able to wear our cassocks and surplices, or they won't be able to wear albs. Now, why is that? Well, when they come, they would be looking through them all. They'd be breathing on them. They'd be touching them. And then after they wear them, nobody else could wear it. So we are going to ask the servers to dress in nice clothes if they're going to be serving. Don't dress like you're going to the beach or the gym. No t-shirts. You have to have a shirt that has a collar on it, a dress shirt. A girl can wear a skirt or a dress, but make sure it's at least knee length, nothing shorter than knee length. Nobody, no boys or girls, should wear shorts. Wear what people used to call your Sunday best. And so if you don't know what Sunday best is, just like your grandparents might be asking you, what is dada? You might need to ask your grandparents, what is Sunday best? Okay. Servers will need to wear masks because they'll be breathing over the host. They'll be setting up the altar and they'll be breathing over the host, so it's not an option for the servers to wear masks. Also, Eucharistic ministers will need to have their temperature taken before they're allowed to be a minister of the Holy Eucharist. Again, we ask everybody to take their temperature before you come to church. If you have a temperature of 100.4 or above, do not come to Mass. Especially if you're a Eucharistic minister, do not come to Mass. We have some no-touch thermometers, and the Eucharistic ministers will have their temperature taken at church. If they have a temperature, not only will they not be allowed to minister, but we're going to ask them to go home. So if you have a temperature over 100.4, we will ask you to go home. Also, Eucharistic ministers, as you're distributing Holy Communion, must wear masks, because people are going to be facing you. Some are going to be within 6 feet. Now, as you're giving communion, we're going to ask you to reach out far. We're going to ask people as they're receiving communion to put their hands out far so that you can maintain that distance. But you will need to wear a mask. You can't be giving communion without a mask on. Okay. We have hand sanitizer on both sides of the sanctuary. So Eucharistic ministers, when you come up into the altar, you must purify your hands. So we have a hand sanitizer on the pulpit. We have another hand sanitizer on the baptismal font. So whatever direction you're coming, go to the pulpit or the baptismal font, put hand sanitizer on, so that you make sure, and then please don't put your hands in your mouth, please don't touch your face, please make sure after you purified your hands that they remained pure. Also, temporarily, we will not be assigning Eucharistic ministers who are 65 years or older. Again, we don't want to put anybody at risk. So just for safety's sake, we will not be assigning anybody 65 and older. Also, the lectors will not wear masks while they're reading the Word of God. They'll need to remove their mask when entering the sanctuary, sanitize their hands before they touch the pulpit or the book or anything. Please sanitize your hands. Again, there'll be hand sanitizer on the pulpit. After you're done reading, sanitize your hands again before you leave, because in case you've touched something and there's somebody else has touched it and there's something on the book or on the ambo, we want you to be safe. So sanitize your hand when you come into the sanctuary, sanitize your hands again as you're leaving. Okay. Okay, so let's start. We're going to go in now and we're going to have our parish secretary show you how to make a reservation for Mass. That's something new. We've never had to do that before. But you know, our church usually holds 650 people. And if everybody was 6 feet from each other, we could hold 77 people. We're counting on families sitting together. It's families sitting, so your family would sit together, and then you need to be 6 feet from the next family that sits together. And they need to be 6 feet from the next family that sits together. But we're going to make reservations, so we're thinking maybe 150 people to 200 people can get in the church at any one time. Okay, so let's go and we'll take a look with Brianna.
So the easiest way to register for Masses is to go to our website at sthelen.com, sthelen.com, and you're going to go to this Register for Weekend Mass, and it brings you to this Sign Up Genius. So if you, right now we have the Memorial Day Mass at 9 a.m. You can click Sign Up, and then we have Saturday and Sunday's Weekend Mass. So if I'm going to sign up for the 5 p.m. on Sunday, hit Sign Up again. As you can see, we also have the parking lot in here. So we're just trying to get an idea of how many of you will be sitting in the parking lot for each Mass as well. Once you click on the Masses that you plan on attending, you hit Submit and Sign Up. From there, we have the 9 a.m. on Memorial Day, and you type in the names of everyone that will be attending with you and the amount. So if it's just me for the Memorial Day Mass, but then for the Sunday Mass, it'll be me, my mom, dad, and brother. And there's going to be 4 of us. It's super essential that you enter in the amount of people that will be coming with you. And from there, you just fill in the rest of it. Name, last name, email address, and phone number, and sign up now. And if you could print off your registration afterwards, that'll make it even easier for us to sign you in.
Hello again, everybody. Here we are outside our beautiful church. And as I said, we're going to start with the parking lot. We will have people who can be in the parking lot and watch Mass on their iPhone or whatever device that they have, where you can use your own data. We are going to ask you, if you are coming into the church, to maybe park further down in the east lot or further down by the school, so that the people who will be attending Mass in their car can be near the front entrance, and that will help with Holy Communion. Now, I'm underneath the canopy. You can kind of tell how far, I hope you can tell how far I am away from the door. Now, the Eucharistic minister has to be under the canopy because we don't know what the weather's going to be. And I can tell you, if a Eucharistic minister goes out in the rain with a ciborium of Jesus, it makes a big mess. That's not respectful to the Lord. So the Eucharistic minister will have to be under the canopy. Also, we don't want him near the parking lot because, even if it's a sunny day, because people will be coming from 2 directions. And what's going to have to happen when you come up, you need to stay 6 feet from other people. So as people are coming from both directions, you'll need somebody on this side will come up, and then somebody on this side. You'll have to alternate, just so that we have one line coming up. We can't have more. We can't have 2 lines because there's only going to be 1 person out here. So they can't. You'd be too close to each other if he's giving communion to 2 lines. So 1 line of people. So as you're coming up, when you get to the base, before you get to the walk, you'll need to. So maybe we'll turn the camera around. why don't you be over on that side? So. Some people will be coming from this direction. Other people will be coming from that direction. When you get forward, don't get anywhere near 6 feet. So, ladies first. Come up and wait until you come to the center. Try to come to the center. And then the person from this side will come up. And then the person from the other side again will come up. So we'll alternate from one side to the other, but you'll come up on the walkway in a single file line, keeping 6 feet from other people. After you receive communion, if your car is on this side of the parking lot, turn to the right. And go to the edge of the cement. So again, you're going to be 6 feet, more, a good 6 feet away from people coming up. If your car is on that side of the parking lot, turn to the left. So again, and go to the walk, the edge of the walk, so that you'll be all the way back. Now, after you receive communion, because people will be cutting across the parking lot to come up, after you receive, if you could go down the sidewalk. So return to your car by the sidewalk, this way or this way, so that you're not walking right near other people. So that, again, we want to keep everybody safe. So stay 6 feet apart. When you come to the front of the walk, alternate, coming up in a single file line up the center, and then after you receive communion, turn and go to the end of the walk, the end of the cement, and walk all the way down, so that people coming up are, you're not breathing on them, and they're not breathing on you. Now, if you're coming into the church, let's take a look over here. I hope you're not getting dizzy as we turn the camera around. We will have the center doors locked. We're going to ask you, as you're coming to the church, we'll have the side doors will both be propped open. So you can come into church. We'll have people signing you in, because remember, you're going to have to make a reservation on Sign Up Genius. So please make a reservation. And then you'll have people signing you in. You can go in either door. After you get there, we will have masks available if you forget your mask. But please bring your mask, because masks get expensive. So please bring a mask for yourself. But we will have those medical masks that they have at hospitals that you can put on. Not N95s, just other masks that you can put on. You'll come up on either side. If you take a mask, you want to probably purify your hand afterwards, in case somebody else has touched the box and there's something on the box itself. Make sure that you wash your hands. Here I am. Notice I walk into church with my mask on. I'm going to take it off for a minute so you can hear me. Okay. So you'll walk into church, and there'll be a table on either side. There'll be somebody on either side checking you in. Again, remember, you need to make a reservation to come to Mass. Then, at the end of the table, we will have masks. If you need a mask, if you didn't bring your own, but please, please, please bring your own. But if you forget to bring your own, we'll have a mask here. You know, the ones in a box. So take the mask, but then you might have to purify your hand, because somebody else may have touched the mask. So there'll be a table on either side as you enter into the church. So you'll come into church, and then you'll need to go to your seat. Okay, so again, you can sign up on either side. Now, just to remind you, if we had every person in church come as an individual, and they were all 6 feet apart from each other, our church could only hold 77 people. Okay, so it's kind of important you try to come with your family. Now, obviously, if you don't have family and you're coming by yourself, that's okay. But please try to come with your family. Now, what if you get in church and you don't have a reservation? Or what if you get in church and realize you forgot something in your car? What we can do is, we're going to ask you not to go out this way, because everybody's going to be coming in this way. So if you can go out toward the restrooms. And you come down. If you're going to the restrooms or you're going out of church, you can walk out this way. Stay to the right, because if people are coming back to the restrooms, they got to be on the other side of the hall. So stay to the right so that we're maintaining a safe distance. Go down. You can get to the second set of double doors there and take a you out to the parking lot. So if you come in the church and you have to go to your car, don't go out these doors because people are going to be lined up. As you're lined up to get checked in, maintain 6 feet from other people. Don't bunch up in a line. So if it's bad weather, you might have to have an umbrella because you might not be under the canopy as you're waiting to get in. So you might have to bring an umbrella. So please maintain 6 feet from the people in front of you. If you have to leave, go down the hall, take a left, and go out the exit there to go back to your car, and then come in back through these doors. Now, as you come into the church, at communion time, you're going to be coming up the main aisle. So this is where we have lines on the floor. And you'll see that they're not right next to each other. We're asking you when you come up to communion or when you're walking in the church, try to maintain 6 feet from the person in front of you. So we have it staggered so that you're not right next to another person. So if you're on this side, be by this line, and time it so that the person in front of you gets to the next line before you get up. Now again, hopefully you're just walking smoothly. You don't have to, stop and start and stop and start. But please try to maintain 6 feet as you're walking in. Okay. Now hopefully you've signed in on Sign Up Genius. You got yourself checked in. If you didn't do that, if you didn't sign up and you come, there might not be room in church. So just like Jesus, he didn't find room in the inn. So you might not find room in the inn. Please be good-humored. Please roll your eyes, laugh at God's sense of humor, don't get angry, okay? Nobody's ever had to do this before. This is all new to all of us. We're trying the best we can. Now, what you're going to find in the churches, in the church, because when people come up for communion, they need to hug the pew. So they'll be come up, if you're on the left-hand side, you're going to be near this pew. If you're on the right-hand side, you're going to be near that pew, because that distance is about 6 feet. So we want to keep you safe. But you'll notice in the pew, we are marking off every other pew. So you'll see in this pew it says close to maintain distance. So we don't want people right behind each other. So we have, did you get it? That's not okay. So you'll have people in the front pew, people in the third pew, people in the fifth pew. Now, if you look here, you'll see a blue tape on the pew itself. We have to block off the first 6 feet. Okay, you can't sit within 6 feet of the pew. Why is that? Because when people are coming up for communion, if you're sitting at the end, they're going to be right over your shoulder. That would be a danger. So you need to be 6 feet in. We also ask, so if you're with your family, you might have 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, or some of our families have 10. You can sit together with your family, but then you want to be 6 feet away from the other family that comes in. I'm going to demonstrate with Bree here. I'm going to have my mask on because I'm going to church. So I'm 6 feet in. We put our arms out, we don't want to touch them. That's roughly 6 feet. Now obviously you're 5 years old, it's a little short. So you want to make sure that you're 6 feet away from the next family. So please, 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 again, be safe. Help the people who are coming to church with you to feel that they are safe. So we want to do that. So you'll be here, there'll be nobody in this pew in front of you, there'll be nobody in the pew behind you. So that we're maintaining a safe distance. So 6 feet apart. Also, when you come to church, people can't be climbing over you. So when you come, don't come and sit right by the blue line here. You need to come and try to come to the middle of the pew. If your family gets here early, please come to the middle of the pew. I know people don't like that. I know people are not always comfortable with that. But sometimes we got to get over our comfort levels. It's not all about us. So we can't let people be climbing over us. If people sit at the end, we're going to have empty middle pews, and we're not going to have enough room. So when you come, you'll need to come to the middle of the pew. If there's nobody in the pew, already in the pew, sit down in the middle, and then hopefully, when the next family comes, make sure you put your arm out, and they can put their arm out, so they maintain a 6 foot distance from one another. So again, we're counting on that we're going to be able to get 200 people in the church. So we ask you to make a reservation. Now, what if you don't have a computer? What if you can't go online? Well, you can call our wonderful parish secretary, and she can make a reservation for you. So please, if you don't have a computer, we want you to be able to come to Mass. Please call and let her know. And you know, when you get the Sign Up Genius, again, they're going to ask you, are you going to come into church? Or are you going to be in the parking lot? That'll kind of help us know how many hosts to provide for in the parking lot. But if you don't have a computer, we're not telling you not to come to Mass. You can call and make a reservation by calling the parish office. So, in fact, we have it up for this coming week of Pentecost right now. Normally, we'll have that up on Monday morning, and you can start making a reservation. Now, why do you have to do it every week? Well, we're playing this by ear. We might need to add a Mass or two. You know, so we don't want people to sign up and then have to change the Mass schedule, and we would have to reschedule. Plus, we don't want people to sign up for a month and then they come one week and they don't come the next week, and we had to limit the number of people here. So we're going to do this a week at a time, at least for the short run. So please, again, be patient. This is new to all of us. Have a good sense of humor, laugh about it, but do what we need to do to keep everybody safe and to help everybody feel safe. Okay, again, our first public Mass is Memorial Day. You need to sign up for that. Why? Because you haven't been to Mass for a while. I'm afraid 500 people are going to show up for Mass. That's not going to work. Okay, so sign up for Memorial Day. Don't just come. And I've said at the end of the Masses, if you don't normally come on Memorial Day, probably this would not be the first time to do it. Starting next Tuesday, we will be having 8 a.m. Mass. We'll still be live streaming it, so you can be at home, but people will actually be allowed to come into church. Now, we're not going to do Sign Up Genius for the weekday Masses, so hopefully that's not going to be a problem. But on the Sunday Masses, we need to sign up so that we don't have too many people coming to church. So again, I've told you need to sign up to come to Mass. We're hoping to be able to get 200 people in church. We're taking reservations for 150. If you don't have a reservation and come, we might be able to squeeze you in, but we might not be able to. So you might get here and there's no room at the inn. Don't get angry. Please, please, please try to make a reservation. One of the things that you're going to find when we start Mass, we're not going to be allowed to sing. Okay? I know that makes many of us very sad. It certainly makes me very sad, because all of you know I've preached many times. Please sing. Please fully participate. Please sing. And now I have to tell you, no singing. Why is that? Because when we're singing, we project aerosols and droplets. It's somewhat similar to sneezing, the amount of aerosols and droplets that are expended when we sing. So we need, in the near term, not to be singing. We will have a cantor in Mass, so we'll have some music. We're also going to be sending home to you the week. If you're not on our email list, please sign up for that. But we want to have, so that we're not passing sheets out because somebody has to touch the sheets. If we have sheets out and you grab some, you might touch some of the other sheets that other people have to touch. So we're going to email on our email list copies of the readings and the antiphons for Mass. So we're going to ask you to run them off so that you can follow the readings, and that you have the opening antiphon and the communion antiphon so that you can participate fully in the Mass. Particularly those of you who don't like to sing, you can say these antiphons, and that the opening antiphon takes the place of the opening song. The communion antiphon takes the place of the communion song. Now, we will be playing some music, the cantor will be singing, but we want everybody to be able to participate in the opening antiphon and participate in the communion antiphon. So we will be emailing those out to you starting for Pentecost Sunday. Now, when you come up for Holy Communion, again, we have the line staggered. The priest will be here like he normally is, and the Eucharistic minister will be here. Now, I am telling you, we're not quite sure with Father Bednar. He might not give communion, so you might have 2 Eucharistic ministers in the church. Or I might be here and help with the Masses that Father Bednar is assigned to. So you might have the 2 Eucharistic ministers in the church. And then we'll have another Eucharistic minister. So before you start coming up for communion, you've got to let the Eucharistic minister get outside so he's not walking down the aisle or she's not walking down the aisle as you're walking up. So let the Eucharistic minister go first before you start coming up for Mass, for communion. When you come up, you'll notice the priest will be a little off to the right, the other person will be a little off to the left. There's only going to be 2 host ministers. Now we're going to try this and see how it works. We might make adjustments as time goes on. Again, we're learning. Please know that God has a sense of humor, and laugh with him. Don't get angry. Laugh with him. Okay, when you're coming up for communion, if you have a hand sanitizer in your pocket, it would be a nice idea for you to come and put a little on and smooth it on your hand in case there would be incidental contact between you and the Eucharistic minister. When they go to place it in your hand, you know, it would be, if you have your hand purified, that would be very good. But if something does happen, you'll notice we have a pillar here with hand sanitizer. We have a pillar here with hand sanitizer. If there is incidental contact, the Eucharistic minister might come and have to wash their hand, purify their hand. So if you see before you come to communion, they're purifying their hand, that's probably because they had incidental contact with the person in front. We won't do that between every person, but if there's incidental contact. Again, if you're receiving communion of the tongue, as I explained before Mass, when you come out your pew, go back to the back, wait in the gathering space, and then when everybody else is coming up and the line's getting short, you can come forward and receive, and I'd ask that you get in my line, because I will probably be at all the Masses, because I don't want anybody else to give communion on the tongue, because again, it could be a danger for them, and I don't want to ask our Eucharistic ministers to put themselves at risk. So if you're receiving on the tongue, come out of your pew, because you can't be climbing over people. Come out of your pew, go to the back, and then after you receive communion, you'll have to return and wait in the gathering space and finish Mass in the gathering space so that you're not climbing over people to get back in your pew. After you have received communion, we will be having people in the first pew on both sides. So after you receive communion, don't go near the pew. Try to hug the sanctuary here. So you receive communion, and then walk toward the sanctuary on your way back so you're staying 6 feet away from people who are in the first pew. Then, to return to your seat, you're going to go down this aisle. Why don't we bring the thing over and show? Okay. So when we come down this aisle, we ask you to go down the center of the aisle. So we have an arrow here in the center. Now, why is that important to be in the center? Because there's pews on either side here. We will mark off the first 3 feet from the end of the pew on this side, the first 3 feet from the end of the pew on that side, because there's only going to be one-way traffic. So you can walk down the center of the aisle, and you will be, the aisle is almost 6 feet wide, so you'll be about 6 feet from anybody that's at the end of the pew. So and again, because you're facing in their direction, it's important. So remember, when you come, you cannot sit on this side of the blue tape. You need to be on this side of the blue tape so that you maintain, as people go back to communion, they maintain their 6 feet. And the same is true on this side. Now in the center we had to have 6 feet wiped out because we have two-way traffic and people are coming up near the pews. But in this you're going to come back, so there's 3 feet at the end of this pew, 3 feet at the end of that pew. Okay, now for Holy Communion for the people who are at the sides, in the side section. When we're getting finished with the middle section, the people on this section will go to their left. The people who are on the opposite side will go to their right. So we'll start with people in the back. You walk out, go as far over as you can, and walk back, because people will be right at the end of that pew. So you want to be about 6 feet away, so that you're not walking near anyone. You're going to go walk around the back and up the center section. So I would ask you, if you're young and healthy and you like to get your steps in, you might consider being in these side sections and let our older people be in the center sections, if you can. Just so that, because you're going to be doing a lot more walking within the church. So if people have a hard time walking, they probably don't want to be in this section or the other side section. So when you return, and then they return, when they receive communion, they again will return communion down the same row. They'll go down the diagonal aisle, get to their seat, and go into the pew. Okay? So if people are at Mass and they're not going to communion, it's important to go in the line with everybody else. When you get near the front, if you come to the priest, just put your hand in front of you so that the priest can give you a blessing, or the Eucharistic minister can say, God bless you, and then return to your seat and stay in the same line as everybody else, staying 6 feet apart so that nobody has to climb over you to get the communion. Okay, now in this section here, we're going to have very few people able to sit. Why? Because when we have the testified group, or we have from canons, they're going to be singing. And the recommendations we're getting that people need to be at least 12 feet away from people who are singing. Actually, it's better to be 18 feet away. So these first few pews, we're going to have blocked off so that nobody can use them, just so that, when we have the testified group or we have the Life Team Band, probably this whole section will be blocked off for the Life Team Band, because we have to have room between people who are singing and others. The congregation will not be singing, but I think it would be very sad if we have no music in the church. So we'll do the entrance antiphon together, but the cantor will sing an opening song. We'll do the communion antiphon together, so that everybody's praying together, but then they'll sing some songs or play music as you're going up for communion. Here we are back in the gathering space again, because I forgot to mention something. When you come into the church, you have to sign in and purify your hands. We have ordered some new baskets. They're not in yet. So we have a basket here on the table, but the table won't be here, and it'll be a deeper basket. But we will not be passing the collection basket during Mass, because of course people have to touch the collection basket, or the ushers have to lean in and get closer within 6 feet. So what we're going to do is we'll have a basket in the gathering space. We'd ask that when you come into church, that you would put your collection in the church. We know all of you want to give to the collection, so we'll have the collection basket here. We'll be having one of the ushers keep an eye on that to make sure nothing happens. And afterwards, they'll remove the basket and put the money in the safe, and they'll put the basket here so in case you forget to put it in as you're coming in, you can put it in on your way out. But that will be here. We will not be passing the basket again, because we don't want people to touch the basket and then hand it to somebody else, and they touch it, and hand it to somebody else, and they touch it. So please don't touch the basket. Put your envelope in the basket, and then you'll enter the church. We are not going to have our ushers escort you to a seat, just first, it's going to be wherever you want to go. Now, we'll see how that works. If people don't go to the middle, if other people can't get into the middle of the pew, we might have to do it with the ushers, but I'm hoping that we won't have to do that. I don't want this to be like you're going to a restaurant and have to, the ushers, the hostess who's taking you to the pew and having you go in. But some churches are doing that. We're not doing that, at least for the first week or two. We'll see what happens. Okay? When you're leaving Mass, this is going to be really, really, really difficult. We're not going to release you by pew. We're just going to ask when you're, after Mass, you might spend a little time in church praying, particularly if you're in the middle of the pew. Let people come, because to distance 6 feet from other families, it's really important that it's probably going to take 10 minutes for people to leave at the end of Mass. So you might be in your pew for several minutes. When you go to leave, again, we're going to have the middle section closed off because we want people to be social distance from each other. So you'll have to go out the 2 exits. You can also go down the hall, as I explained at the beginning, and go out the exit over there. Most of the Sundays, we're going to have the school locked off, because you can't come in that way, because you have to come to sign in. And so we're going to not have people walking through the school, because again, if people are touching things, we don't want to have to purify the entire school after every Sunday Mass. So we want to be careful for the safety of everybody who is coming into our building. Thank you so much. Again, please, when you come, please come with good humor. Please come with a smile on your face. If something doesn't go right, don't have a scowl, don't get upset, don't walk away angry. Again, we're all doing the best we can. We're all trying to do this. We want to help keep everybody safe, and we want to help everybody feel safe. That's important as well. You might not feel that that's a big danger, that's a huge concern, but know that some of our brothers and sisters in Christ do feel a big concern and do feel anxiety about that. So please, out of love for them, maintain 6 feet. Out of love for them, if it's possible, please wear a mask. And come and worship God and receive Jesus, and let's build the body of Christ. Amen?
Amen.